Hey, welcome back to Sex Addiction Recovery Association. We're still in level 1, session 5. Hopefully you're starting to connect some dots with the material. And if this is your first time listening, be sure to go back and listen to sessions 1 through 4. That way this will make more sense. So we're going to get into this today. So today we're going to discuss addiction models that I have observed in my career. And these are more my words, trying to quantify these different types of models out there. So the first one is the religious model, shame. I call it shame, guilt, and sin-based. I'm very familiar with this in my Christian upbringing. Also, get into understanding the ego, specifically the religious ego. But this is a lot about faith and feelings, not necessarily have to have evidence or evidence-based or science to support it. And faith and feelings, we'll get it here in a minute on the other side of that. So how a lot of the clients I work with are fully on the left or fully on the right, and finding that middle ground, not either or again, but the and. This could include Christians, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish scriptures, etc. Okay. There's the 12-step models, also known as more faith-based, the AAs, the Al-Anons, the ACOAs, or adult children of alcoholics. Great programs out there. Totally support them. I've sent a lot of clients to these programs. And there's SA and SAA, Sex Addicts and Sexaholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Gambling Anonymous, etc. Celebrate Recovery, Triple X, Samson, Pure Desire. Those are more their letter C, Christian-based. Again, a lot of religious-based models out there. Grief share and divorce recovery. And I'm not saying any of these are good or bad, right or wrong. They serve a place and a purpose for everybody at different stages of their healing and recovery story. And I would even say they're healing from their own egoic attachments to beliefs and emotions in that autonomic nervous system stuff. All right, let's go on the next one. Addiction. So we're still on number 3 here. Another model is more of the scientific. So far on the left, we have faith and feelings. More on the right, we have what I call logic and reason. And both can become very egoic, very religious within themselves. And I'm, again, more finding the balance in between those. And then there's evidence-based models, smart programs, quantum. The quantum, I would even say, is in this camp of scientific, especially with the new stuff by Joe Dispenza, the Joe Dispenza of the 70s, who I call David Hawkins. Great material. Further back than that, you got Neville Goddard, and on and on. There's just a lot of great stuff out there in the quantum realm, and science is supporting more and more these evidence-based models, which is great. Okay. Next is the medical disease model, I call it. I've written a lot about this in the men's workbook of Into the Light. And this is more about the money, the diagnosis for payment. So to get paid, there's got to be a diagnosis. Okay, that's how the medical model started. The dis-ease used to be from the AA movement. It became the word disease. You are a victim to be treated with this disease. Big pharma, synthetic medications have exploded. Not so active in your recovery. You are to be passive and rescued. Okay. And unfortunately, the mental health model taking on the medical disease model in the DSM, having to have a diagnosed, categorized, quantify disease for insurance companies to pay for that. Agree, disagree, that is the history. It's just what it is. All right, number 5, victimized women, shame men model. This is what we've been talking about in previous sessions. The betrayal trauma model. I don't see this as all that helpful. It keeps women in that victimized state. A lot of people don't understand the history of the betrayal model. It was never, ever about relationships. It was more about workplace betrayal and betrayal of an employee, especially for women, and being fairly treated, equal rights and such, military, and the corporate world. And then the very last one became known with relationships, but it was never intended to be what betrayal trauma models have become. And am I saying, are these partners most oftentimes women not betrayal? No, absolutely not. They have been betrayal and they need to work through that, absolutely. But we don't want to keep them there for years and decades. Okay, 6 months to a year, and moving towards that healing, forgiveness, anger work, etc. Then there's the gaslighting model again. Came from a movie back in the I believe 50s, and I've written about this, blogged about it, and check out the blog. Just Google search in our website search engine, gaslighting, and my thoughts on that. Again, not all good, not all bad. There's just got to be the balance of wise and foolish. Narcissism versus empath, huge in the social media world. There's been an explosion of this. There's some good resources out there. I'm a Sam Vaknin fan, Vaknin, I believe. He's got some really good stuff, very well researched, very knowledgeable. Him and Richard Grannon have some really good material. Richard, both have books out. You can check those guys out and read up about it. Okay. Again, don't believe anything I say. Seek the truth for yourself. Okay. I've blogged about narcissism. I have, 6 to 8, maybe 10 blogs on this topic. And just understanding the origin of narcissists. And most people know the mythos, the mythological story of Narcissus, but few people know, do you know Narcissus' partner? And her name was Echo. And check that out. Very insightful what the Greeks understood of what we would call modern day codependency, which is the next one. So the codependency model can keep you stuck outside in versus inside out living. The codependent model is all about fill me up from the outside in. And just like this coffee cup here, a lot of couples we work with are cracked. Okay, when they get married or in a monogamous relationship long enough, the liquid starts to leak out, and they realize they got work to do. And I got 2 empty cups like this, and each trying to pour emptiness into the other doesn't work, and they get angry, frustrated with each other. Some people call that attachment theory. Definitely we'll be talking about that ahead of us, but it's a lot of different perspectives to saying a lot of the same things. And I'm a big, if you've not read Patricia Evans, talks about this outside in, inside out living. Again, just another form of codependency, also known as relationship addiction. But her books, one of which is, or a couple is Controlling People is one, and the other is verbally abusive relationship. So very good resources. If you don't like to read, find the Audible version. Okay, but if you are going to grow in this field, you gotta read. That's just the way it is. And be teachable and share it with others. Next is the cognitive behavioral, CBT, well known. There's also NLP, neuro linguistic programming, Gestalt theory. Some people might not put NLP in this camp, but I do, because of the belief stuff and vows and agreements the person's made subconsciously at a young age. I'm a big Gestalt fan, empty chair stuff. Great way to help clients process and heal. All right, number 7, energy healing is becoming a big thing. Energy psychology, you could also call this spiritual, if in a way, EMDRs, NETs, neural emotional techniques, EFT tapping, the Reiki, the Splagnas, sound wave vibration, Rife frequency, Schumann resonance. Some of this you may be aware of, some you may not. So look it up, do your own research. Bio neurofeedback, again, the quantum I think fits in this camp too, because all things are connected. The more we grow as a human race, you realize medical is connected to the scientific to the mental health, to the physical, to the spiritual. It's all connected. And then there's muscle testing. I'm a big fan of muscle testing, whether you do that with your fingers or arm, pushing your arm down. Very, very helpful technique to learn. And that the body and understand the body can heal itself. Deepak Chopra, check out some of his stuff. And then finally, spiritual. This is a little different because I want to include meditation, how important meditation is, the earth, wind, fire, water, but also physical part of the spiritual is your diet, food, water, the air, exercise. Everything is pretty much contaminated. I'm not going to get into that, but just be aware of, try to do your best to take the contaminants out of the food, water, air around you the best that you can do. And you're not going to do it all at once, just a little bit at a time. All right, so which is the best model? These treatment models have strengths and weaknesses. Sex addiction treatment versus intimacy anorexia, sexual anorexia, aversion treatment. Generally speaking, sex addiction treatment is a behavioral change. This aversion treatment, anorexia stuff is more of a core belief change. And that's why I don't believe one model is a be all end all. I think certain models work actually better, and there's pros and cons with different genders, different ages. So you, as the helper, the clinician, the psychologist, the lay person, need to be in tune with that. Okay. Due to traumas or neglects, again, from childhood, depends. Okay. Which one is the best? Again, not right or wrong, just which model is wise for this person I'm trying to help. And then inappropriate attachments to parental figures, neglects. This is all reasons where intimacy anorexia, the aversion, sexual anorexia stuff comes from. Okay, so again, the acting out is more the sex addiction, the drinking, the alcohol, the anger outburst. The acting in is the pulling away, the anorexia stuff. Okay, think of anorexia as an addiction to safety. I have a straight jacket on. This jacket helped me survive as a little boy, little girl. It is now not helping me thrive in the relationship that I'm in. In fact, it's dismantling it. And so core beliefs, subconscious stuff is much more challenging to help heal. All right, so the rest of this, in this session, we're going to talk about sex addiction specifically. So finally getting into more of the good stuff. And I've written extensively about this And so I put it on a continuum to help you kind of give a visual to understand on the left and to the right. So on the left here is what I call the monogamous cheater. This person is monogamous, meaning one partner married, he or she is faithful to that partner, but behaviorally, but not so much in their heart. Okay, maybe in their thought life. Okay, and they're always looking for something better. Okay, see a lot of this in the religious communities. Okay, on the outside, very looks together, but on the inside, really struggling. In my own spiritual religious development, coming to the conclusion, church, synagogues, mosque, and this idea of sin is just sinners judging sinners for sinning differently. Okay, and so to keep that image of perfectionism, they have to look clean on the outside, but on the inside, have the wandering eye kind of stuff, lust of the heart. Okay, next is the flirt. The flirt is complimenting other men or women that they are not monogamous to. Okay, inappropriate comments of their physical beauty, spending too much time with them. A lot of men that I work with have to begin to understand they don't see what women see in the workplace, okay, or out in public. Women see the amount of attention that guy is giving that woman. Maybe it's a legitimate work project, ministry project, that's fine. However, everybody, the women especially, are noticing the time and attention that man is giving that woman. The man may have no interest whatsoever, but all the women around are noticing this. Okay, so helping men be aware of this can be quite enlightening. Okay, they may not know they're flirting. Okay. Next is the emotional affair. Okay, nothing physical, just emotional, connecting at an emotional level. See a lot of addicts, especially the anorexia side, the aversion, the sexual anorexia side. They are more likely to have an emotional affair than a physical affair. But regardless, it can be even more damaging affair of the heart versus an affair of the body. And then next is pornography, actively engaging in that for purposes of excitement. Again, your brain is your main sex organ. I tell my clients, not your penis or your vagina, it's your brain. Again, there's enkephalins and endorphins. The previous lesson, we were talking about the oxytocin stuff, that bonding chemical to fantasy man, to fantasy woman. So next then obviously is pornography and the masturbation become unified, and the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and what is real. Okay, it's the exact same thing. Science has shown this over and over. Next step is the physical affair with someone outside their monogamous relationship, and then finally anonymous sex, and more extreme, the prostitution, clubs, chat rooms, video, these types of things. Okay, hookup culture. So that's sex addiction on a continuum. And so when I use the word, this word can be offensive because a lot of people associate this word addiction or sex addiction to all the way here on the anonymous side, when I may be using it to mean monogamous cheaters. So you have to educate and explain to people. All right, so sex addiction assessment, this is on the website, one of the 9 assessments on our website. And you can go to that, check it out, give it a trial run. I encourage you to do that, and you're going to answer the questions more often than not, or your clients are trying to help. Okay, and this will come in level 2 in doing the consultation assessment that we do with our clients and how to do that. So here's just some of the questions that people can sign up, put their email in. They'll get results of I think it's high or moderate, high, and severe, and then links and recommendations. So if you or the client you're trying to help, more often than not, 50% of the time, so more than half the time. So if this person's been in a relationship 10 years, so more than 5 years. A lot of people come in your office, a lot of pain, and they think in the last week, 30 days, 60 days. No, overall, okay, more often than not. And so you can have the wife answer this for the husband, or the husband for the wife. You can have them answer it for themselves. A lot of times I'll meet with them separately. Okay. So do you or your partner lie about little insignificant things? And they'll answer yes or no. Do you or your partner say things that do not match your behaviors? Do you or your partner drink or use prescribed or non-prescribed drugs more often than you should? Are you or your partner known as the party guy or girl? Do you and your partner have unaccountable time during the day or night? Do you or your partner carry large amounts of cash? Is petty cash is missing from the business, or do accounts not balance? Number 6, when asked about unaccountable time, money, receipts, phone records, do you or your partner become defensive and irritable? Number 7, do you or your partner receive calls, emails, or texts that are unknown or unfamiliar? Are you or your partner disinterested sexually, unable to be aroused, or unable to maintain sexual arousal? And again, that comes from being trained your brain to a fantasy man, fantasy woman that is not your partner. It could be hair color, body type, nationality, gender, you name it. Okay. Age. Number 9, are you or your partner willing to be sexual but struggle with premature ejaculation? Number 10, when being intimate, is sex all about you or your partner? Does it feel like masturbation, as though you are an object? Is the experience not intimate? Again, this is object sex, not intimacy. Okay, continue the assessment. Number 11, have you or your partner observed or viewed search engine history, which indicates the use of porn, social media, personal ads, dating sites and services on electric devices? Or on the other hand, is the search history has been cleared or deleted? Okay. Do you or your partner always carry your personal cell phone with you? Is it password protected? Do you or your partner become defensive when asked to look at the phone? 13, do you or your partner masturbate to pornography or sexual fantasies? 14, and this isn't just the men, this is the women too. During the assessment, I asked similar questions of the non-identified client as well. 14, have you or your partner tried to stop but have not been able to? In fact, has porn use or masturbation become more frequent? 15, were you or your partner exposed to pornography at a young age? 16, did you or your partner begin masturbating as a child and never stopped as an adult? 17, were you or your partner sexually abused or traumatized as a young child? 18, did you or your partner have parents who struggle with an addiction or addictive behaviors? 19, did you or your partner have very poor, if any, self-worth or have a difficult time viewing yourself positively? And 20, do you or your partner struggle with depression or anxiety? So that is 20 of the questions. Okay, so usually half or more, so 10 or more, would indicate someone with a severe problem. 8, 7, 8, moderate to high, and then 1 to 2, moderate to low. Okay. So a lot of the individuals and couples that we work with do not know their worth. And so I have blogs on this. You go to the website, it's called I Am Worthy, and the other one is called I Do Not Consent. So this is just a short little excerpt from that. I think the I Am Worthy, there's 75 to 100 of these. And the next one we'll show is I Do Not Consent. So with tapping, those of you trained in tapping or EFT or EMDR and left right brain stimulation, I simply have them do what I call collarbone statements. So they're going to tap one or two fingers, left, right, back and forth, and speak out loud, I am worthy statements. And I have them do this in my office, or if I'm doing it virtually, a Zoom call, go over this with them. And I give this as homework. I'm a big fan of homework. We haven't even gotten into that yet. We'll get into that more in other sessions, but give homework to have them complete before their next session. Okay. So this would be one thing I would have them do. And they would go through the list, finds ones they like, some they may not even agree with, some may not even be aware of, never even thought about. Okay. So I'm just going to go through this, and you tap. I am worthy to ask for what I want and need. So as me as a clinician, I'm letting them speak, but I'm tapping with them. Okay. And they're speaking out loud. I'm worthy to ask questions and question answers. I'm worthy to ask for help. I am worthy to be loved for who I am. I am worthy to be free of taking any responsibility of the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of others. Okay, you'll notice that it's a very non-codependent statement. I am worthy of being free of giving reasons or excuses for my behaviors or choices. I am worthy to be angry at someone I love. It's a big epiphany for many. I am worthy to be unique and be myself. I am worthy to be healthier than those around me. I am worthy to be in a non-abusive environment. I am worthy to be treated with dignity and respect. I am worthy to believe that I am a victim of a disease and that I made a lot of bad choices. And the key is there, and I made a lot of bad choices. And then other thing is what's called a karate chop point to finish it with 3 taps. And then I sit and talk to the client a little bit. What's this feel like? Okay, to speak these things, hear these things come out of your mouth. Okay. The next one is I do not consent. And again, I would give this as a handout to the client. I think I have over 100 of these, and they would start tapping. I would tap with them, but they would do the speaking out loud. And so the client would say, I do not consent to being defined, limited by the abuses I've endured. I do not consent to being defined, limited by my achievements. I do not consent to being defined or limited by culture, traditions, holidays, or expectations. I do not consent to being defined or limited by family traditions. I do not consent to being defined or limited by money. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my addictions. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my age. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my cultural heritage. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my failures. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my flaws. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my job, career, or what I do for a living. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my own limited beliefs. I do not consent to being defined or limited by my past. And then we tap that in again 3 times. Okay. Now, for homework, I would give them to read through these lists again, take it home, look at that person in the mirror, and speak to that person in the mirror. Again, the toughest thing through this recovery process is not dealing with the partner or the therapist, and this is educating your client. It's dealing with the person in the mirror. My job is to hold up a mirror as a clinician. The partner is just holding up a mirror of stuff they need to work on. Okay. And you can get angry about that, but the reason these things keep coming up for that person, why they're not getting better, is because they've not learned the lesson yet. Okay. Not overcome, not grown, not forgiven, released the traumas, neglects, abuses, etc. Well, I hope you've learned a thing or two in this session, getting to be hopefully connecting some dots with how this ties in. So everything is connected. All these things are just things I have learned over the last 20 years, and trying to take the best of the best and put in a very understandable, easy, applicable way. All right. It's been fun. It's been real. As I say in my groups, it's been real fun.